Do you think in your viewpoint or your view of things, like, how would you approach being a leader? Because like, I know some people, you know, like you said, like they're all good at studiers, but they're not good at life, right? So how do you personally approach leadership in terms of, obviously we have these conventional leaders and models of people who are leaders. How would you, in terms of your personal philosophy around freedom and, all these other things, how do you approach it as a leader?
Yeah, great question.
Yeah.
I'm very hands off.
Yeah.
I only hire people that I don't have to manage, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's just me, and that's because I'm more of I lead by doing. Excuse me. Even in the military, I wasn't a very good Marine guy because they wanted me to lead a certain way, but I wanted people to follow me because they wanted to follow me, but not because they were forced to. And why? Because in my experience, I saw some really shitty leaders. I saw some really good leaders for me in the military, in the Marines, right? And so I was like, well, I'd rather be like this Marine over here who is inspiring people to follow versus someone who's just at authoritative pointing their finger, right? So that's my personal leadership. It's the people that you surround yourself with, especially, and at some point though, you're not going to be able to control it. And what I mean by that is that once you've got 100 people, you can't manage 100 people. So what does that mean? That means that you're only managing a handful of people that are closest to you. So those handful of people that are closest to you, they have to be the type of people that you do not have to manage. You don't have to micromanage them. You need self-starters. That's how I approach it. And I try and foster an environment where people like that, A players, want to come and play.
Right. I think too, as a business owner, you probably want that in your business. Like, you want people who are A players, not like D players.
Right. Especially the ones closest to you. But at some point, like, again, that's where you can't control it always, at least that I've seen. And I'm sure there's success out there. Maybe if you get past, like, you can get into the thousands of people and still hold that culture somehow. But from my experience, what I've seen is once they get to a certain, it's very, very difficult for you because you're the source and you say, okay, I'm the source here. But over time, that message gets diluted, right? When I say time, I mean through individuals. It's a telephone game, right? No matter how much you say this is exactly what we're doing, it's going to be interpreted different, especially further you get down the line. So yeah, that's my advice: is whoever your core people, make sure they are 100% your core people.
Right. And I guess looking back at your journey, looking back at your, throughout your life, as a 46 or 47, whichever one you decide you are.
Yeah.
But like looking back, like, you looking back at your 13, 14, 15-year-old, what do you think, throughout your whole life until now, what do you think was the most pivotal moment in your evolution as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a father? What keeps you motivated to continue this path?
Yeah. Well, now I would say it's my kids. For a long time, it was terrible things that happened, right? So there was bad things that happened that would keep me motivated because, for whatever reason, I feel that. So what's happening now, where we see all this truth being exposed?
Yeah,
same stuff I've been spitting for 30 years, right? So it's seeing that come to life now it's kind of a beautiful thing. But it's switched over time. What keeps me motivated, right there? I think that the childhood I had and where I came from gave me lots of motivation to be different, right? And I think about that often, actually, because I want my kids to have a much different life than I did, right? But am I in doing that? Am I saying that my life was not good? Because I can't say that, because no matter how much crappy stuff happened, or crappy stuff, right? How many things that I would label crappy, I like who I am today. And I you know what I mean? And so it's kind of hard. It's difficult. I think about that actually a lot.